Welcome. Welcome to this webinar about the Master Program Development and Rural Innovation. This is a social science program especially designed for students with a technical and life science background. Because Master of Development and Rural Innovation is quite a mouthful, you will hear us use the abbreviation MDR sometimes in this webinar. Who is we? My name is Lieke de Kwant. I am the study advisor for this program, and with me here today are Danielle and Rolf, and they will introduce themselves.
Thank you, Lieke. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Daniela Chavarria. I'm a Colombian. I study my background is on design, so I did social design and strategic design back in Colombia. And then I worked for a few years, and I came on social impact projects, and then I came to do the master at the MDR program, and I graduated last December. And now I'm currently working on an Erasmus grant that I got from my internship as a result, but I will tell you about that later on.
Yes, wonderful.
Okay, hello everybody. My name is Rolf Poldermans, and I'm a second year student of the MDR program. I'm a Dutch guy, and I did my bachelor here in Wageningen as well, in plant sciences. I'm doing my thesis right now. I'm interviewing people for that, and I'm also already busy with looking for my internship for after that. That's it.
Thank you, Rolf. We are also curious to know who you are. We can't meet you, all of you, unfortunately, but we made a little poll to check where you are from, so we can see whether the group that is present today reflects our international classroom. Please fill in the poll that you can see in your screen if all goes well. And I will get back to the results later on. So what will we be speaking about in the coming hour? This is our program. We will be talking about the relevance of the MDR program. I'll be sketching the outline of the program, the planning. Thesis and internship are very important in the MDR program, so we'll be telling you about that as well. Career possibilities, of course, and admission requirements also. There will be lots of room for answering questions as well. If you have a question, you can put it in the chat, and Rolf will read the questions, and we will take times during the presentation and at the end of the presentation to answer your questions. I would now like to start with giving you an example that demonstrates the relevance of the program Development and Rural Innovation. These pictures are of a rural area in Malawi, and in this area the use of herbicides is promoted. This is because the use of herbicides increases the crop yields. So it works. Farmers who use herbicides get bigger crops, and they profit from this innovation. On the other hand, there are also families in this area who do not have land, and they traditionally earn a living with something called kanju, which is casual land labor. It turns out that the herbicides in fact replace some of the kanju hiring, which causes some households to go hungry because they do not have an income. It goes to show that the intervention of promoting herbicides sort of improves the living conditions of some people in the area, but it worsens the living conditions of other people in the area. That is why it's always important to look at the social context when an intervention is planned. Because, well, this example demonstrates the hazard of neglecting social implications of technology promotion. This is the essence of the MDR program. Technological innovation can be very powerful in improving the lives of living conditions of people, but only, we believe, if you take into account social realities as well. Because changes do not take place in a void. There are social structures and there are power relations at play, and they influence the outcome of anything you do. This picture is another illustration of this. This is a household in South Africa. And as you can see, they have a solar panel. So they have access to power. This can be beneficial for the family, of course. Maybe the children can do schoolwork in the evening, parents can charge a mobile phone. But what about power in the other meaning of the word? Do these people have the influence, can they influence their own living conditions? Do they have a voice in the municipality? Do they have equal and fair access to resources like credit, like good schooling, or roads, or water, land, maybe? If they live in an unequal society, then they might not have fair access to these resources, and that is a socio-political problem which needs a socio-political solution. This is why within the MDR program we try to look at the whole picture. We take a holistic view on technological innovation. So we look at the interaction between social and technological processes. We look at the links between beta and gamma sciences. We look at rural and urban development and how both influence each other. We look at local and global processes. And to give you an example of the latter, if you want to improve living conditions of coffee farmers, you can obviously look at the local conditions, but you need to also look at the coffee trade around the world and coffee consumption as well. The Master of Development and Rural Innovation is the social sciences program. Students that are selected, they bring in their knowledge about life sciences or technology from their bachelor, and within the program they are introduced into the social sciences. The result is, we hope and we believe, that they turn out to be multidisciplinary professionals who can build bridges between the disciplines. And adding to this experience is the fact that we have a very diverse classroom. And this brings me back to the poll, the result of the poll. Rolf, do we have the results?
Yes, we have the results. Only 10% of the people watching are actually from the Netherlands. And the other is actually evenly split. 45% is from another European country, and the other 45% is from outside of Europe.
Okay. This is more or less a reflection of our international classroom. In reality, every year we have about 1/3 is Dutch, and 1/3 is from the European Union, and 1/3 is from outside the European Union. So we also made another poll because we would like to know something about your academic background as well. You will see this poll popping up on your screen now. Please fill it in, and I will again get back to the results later on. I'll tell you a little bit about the themes that we look at within development and rural innovation. This is very broad, but I will give you a few examples. We will look, in the program, we will look at rural development, for instance, migration, very important theme, water management, climate change and sustainability, food security and poverty alleviation, sustainable energy, and ecological degradation. But there are many more themes. Rolf, can you tell us, why did you choose the MDR program?
Yes, of course. Why did I choose the MDR program? Well, once I finished my my high school, I had to decide on what I wanted to do, and I settled on the idea that if I was going to do something, I was going to do something meaningful. I wanted to contribute to something because otherwise I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I wanted to work on problems like the environment and food problems. So I started with plant sciences originally. I did my bachelor in that. However, that study was a little bit difficult for me, and it was a lot of laboratory work, and I think personally I found that difficult, and I didn't want to do that for the rest of my life. I wanted to work with people more. So I decided to do the MDR program. The MDR program, like already said by Lieke, is a multidisciplinary program, where I can combine my background in plant sciences with the social aspects that I want. So I still approach the same problems that I did in my bachelor, but from a different angle, as you would say. I can give an example for it. It's about malnutrition in an African country, for example, in a village where there's malnutrition. Plant scientists look at the soil and what crop can grow there best, how farmers should rotate their crops for optimal output with minimal soil degradation, or plant scientists can even come up with drought-resistant cultivars. However, a social scientist, like the MDR student, would look at social relationships, human relationships, and he would find that the food problem is also a problem of accessibility. There's enough food produced in the world, but often it doesn't reach the people. And then a social scientist can still work on the malnutrition problem, but find that political unrest or corruption are the cause that malnutrition is for that village. So it's the same problem that I always wanted to work on, but from a social angle.
Yes.
And that's what I wanted to do eventually.
Okay, very clear. Can we get back now to the results of the second poll?
Yes, of course. Let's see, 46% are from the agricultural sciences,
Okay.
like me, everybody. 7% is biology, plant or animal sciences. 21% are from technical sciences. There's another small 7% food sciences. So there's a lot of food, agriculture and biology here.
Yes, yes. Okay.
And there's a 21% older, and I don't know what that is then.
No, but we'll find that out, yeah. Yes, well, this is a good reflection. Many of our students have studied, foreign students often have studied agricultural sciences, but there are lots of possibilities. And I'll get back to that a little bit also when I discuss the admission requirements, of course. Rolf, are there any questions in the chat so far?
Yes, 2 questions for now.
Yes.
Peter Istvan Danku. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, sorry if I didn't, but he says, "Good afternoon. I wonder, is the MDR program also designed to have an added value for mid-term professionals with significant, between brackets, 10 years career background?"
That is a very good question.
Therefore, also, is it possible to pursue this program while having a part-time job or an on-campus presence? Is 24/7 a strict requirement?
Very good question, a question we often get. The answer to the first question is yes. Some of our international students have a lot of working experience already, and this really adds to the learning experience actually in the international classroom, because people also learn from each other. And for the professionals, they find very often that it's really enriching to do the program. The second question, unfortunately, the answer to that is no. It's very hard to do this program part-time. Your presence in Wageningen is actually needed. It's a very interactive program. And I will tell you a little bit more about that later on as well.
There's another one by Borhansa Miresa. Again, I hope I pronounced that correctly. At first he said that he was glad to be a part of the webinar, so thank you. He said, "I want to pursue a master's degree in development and rural innovation by scholarship. And I want submitted required documents. Oh, and I have submitted required documents.
Yes.
So how I informed about the results?"
Okay. Yes. Well, there's a very clear webpage on WURtube actually about scholarships, and all the information you need is there. In short, the scholarship selection is now taking place from all the people that were unconditionally admitted to the different master programs in Wageningen. We are sort of nominating people to get a scholarship, and then the selection committees will make known to the nominated people that they are nominated and that they need to do another assignment. So you will get, if you're nominated, then you get an email about this, about the whole selection procedure. There's actually at the moment nothing else that you need to do. If you have been admitted to the program, the selection committee is working on it. So, yes.
There are more coming in now.
Okay.
Latifa Mbarak asks to go more in detail about specialization options within the program, but I think we'll do that.
Yes, exactly.
We will do that, Latifa. So. Then there's also another one by Izati Gufrani Hassan. He says, I am wondering, do we need a technical background to enter MDR? Because I have finished my bachelor in agribusiness and I think you can enter.
Yes, yes, that's a very good question as well. I didn't mention this yet, but well, there are some kind of relevant management kind of studies like agribusiness that also make you admissible to this program. I'll get back to that later as well. So
that's it.
Okay, great. Great. Well, let me now tell you a little bit more about the outline, the planning of the program. MDR is a 2-year program, and each year consists of 60 European credits called ECTS. In your first year, you will be doing courses, mostly compulsory courses, but also 3 elective courses, free choice courses for 18 ECTS. And in your second year, you'll be doing a thesis, which takes about 5 months, roughly, and also an internship of 4 months. And you will also be finalizing thesis path, which is a course that runs through the whole program. In fact, it starts in the first year and it ends at the end of the second year. MDR is a highly thesis-oriented program, and thesis path is a way to prepare you for this. And you will attend presentations of research proposals of your fellow students and also preliminary finding presentations. And you will give each other feedback. So this is also very interactive. And, here are some examples of courses that you will do. I will not go into all the courses at this moment, but the program starts with 3 introduction courses into the social sciences, and they are called Sociology of Development and Change, Communication and Innovation Studies, and Technology and Development Studies. In the course Facilitating Interactive Processes, you will learn how to organize communication and facilitate communication with stakeholders in development processes. And you will also learn about how to, manifest yourself as a tool and use your own strength and know your own weaknesses in your own communication. So this is also a very interactive course. You will learn, of course, about methodology for field research as well. And you will practice this methodology also during the course Cutting Edge Issues, which is also consists of a field trip, usually to Mallorca. We hope, of course, that by the time that you start with this program, we will be able to go on an international field trip again. This year, just to inform you, we have made an alternative for the field trip, which consists of fieldwork in the Netherlands. Yeah. Where am I? Yes, the teaching methods within MDR are relatively small scale and highly interactive. The program attracts about 20 to 25 students each year, and they usually form a tight-knit group. Daniela, can you tell me a little bit about this? How did you experience MDR life in the group?
Yes, Lieke, for sure. For me, it was very interesting because I come from Colombia, which is a very hierarchical, let's say, educational process. So you have like the teachers on one side, and then you're the student, and then you gain the knowledge, but the interaction is not as high speed, let's say, as it is here. One of the things that I found that was interesting was the interaction indeed with the different backgrounds of all the students. So I studied with people that were from mathematicians to biologists, and then I was a designer, so the mix was already quite interesting. Because as you were saying at the beginning, then we looked into one specific topic, but then we look into different perspectives, and that's what's interesting. We also have 2 courses on methodology. One is that very quantitative data, so like all the statistical, let's say, structure of how to do research. And then the second one was more on the qualitative data and anthropological methods. So then the mix of both, so that gives you the basis for everyone to develop a similar sort of structure for research, involving a lot of discussions and self-reflecting sessions within the colleagues. So it was very interesting.
Thank you. Thank you. I will tell you a little bit about the thesis tracks. Yes, somebody asked already specializations. Well, within MDR we do not really have specializations. We have something called thesis tracks, and they consist of one compulsory thesis preparatory course and a thesis. And these are the 4 tracks. First is communication and innovation studies. This is about communication amongst stakeholders and disciplines in the context of societal problem solving. Sociology of development. In this track you learn to understand rural development problems from an anthropological and sociological perspective. And particular attention is paid to the way local people themselves deal with problems. Technology and development studies is about how science and technology interact with international development problems, such as food security, adaptation to climate change, and social justice or injustice. And finally, the rural sociology track focuses on the dynamics of food provisioning, agrarian change, and rural and regional development. As I said, a track consists of a course and a thesis is like a research project that you do independently, but of course under the supervision of a teacher from the university. Here are some examples of thesis topics that people did. You see people go, well, all over the world, usually. Obviously, in these corona times, more students have done their thesis in the Netherlands or in Europe. This is also possible, and sometimes can be quite interesting. For instance, there was a student recently who did her thesis on, gender relations within Dutch agriculture, for instance, and the way Dutch female farmers see themselves and perceive their own identity. So this can also be really interesting as well. One of our current students, Anne, has been to Colombia to do her thesis research, and she observed the development of a nature conservation plan for a coastal area there in Colombia. And the conservationists who are making this plan, they have involved the indigenous Wayu people. I don't know if I pronounced that well. Yes,
Wayu.
Okay, good Wayu. In the development of this plan. And Anne studied the interaction between the Wayu and the conservationists. And one of the things that she saw is that there are different views of nature, and there are different views on nature conservation as well. And she observed that in spite of all the good intentions, the dominant Western vision on nature and nature conservation has a tendency to prevail. Ralph, you're also doing your thesis at the moment.
Yes.
Can you tell us something about that?
Sure, of course I can tell a little bit about my thesis. It's a little bit more difficult in Corona times, but I like to think I'm managing. It's about biological/organic specialty stores and how they aim to stay relevant in the future. Because big retail supermarkets like the Jumbo are also invading the biological market. And these specialty stores might lose their originality because people have less incentives to go there if the big retailers also start selling biological food. In my thesis, I try to see how the niche market of organic food, of biological food stores try to remain relevant. What is their strategy? What do the consumers want? and what do the consumers expect of these stores. It's very much about the relationship about these stores and the customer, and what both their views are going forward. I'm doing a lot of interviews with store owners and customers because of this, but I had some hiccups at first because in my thesis preparatory course my focus was originally on biological restaurants. However, due to Corona and the lockdown, they haven't been open for a year. So it wasn't really relevant for me to start asking questions about people's dining experiences at the restaurants when they've been closed for a year. So I had to switch it up a bit, but this is what I'm doing right now.
Yes, okay, thank you. Yes, internship. Students within MDR also do an internship, like I told you, for 4 months. These are some examples of organizations where people do an internship. For instance, non-governmental organizations like UN Habitat or like the Dutch Red Cross. Also research institutions and also, well, governmental organizations like the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in the Netherlands. And one very nice example of an internship is Daniela's internship. We see you here in action. Yes, okay. Can you tell us something about your internship, Daniela?
Yes, surely. So what I did the track on rural sociology, and I was very interested on understanding how come rural areas get depopulated so fast and so, let's say, vastly. So I moved to Italy for 6 months to study this very rural area in the south of Italy, in the region of Avellino. It's called Frigento. And what I did was I was interested in understanding how come this rural area came from 10,000 inhabitants to be 300 inhabitants currently in a period of 20 to 30 years. And what were the implications for that depopulation for the community nowadays, and what they could do to prevent that from happening, or what they could do to actually stop it from continuing happening. So then the internship was very much focused on how community engagement can actually shift this current situation. And what you can see in the photo is one workshop that I was doing with the local volunteer youth program that they have. It's called La Pública Asistencia, which is sort of the local Red Cross. And I was working with the youth to understand what their role was in this whole process. Because one of the important things was for the internship was to understand what was how to make more attractive for youth to stay in the place. And so yeah, it was very interesting, a bunch of workshops with the local stakeholders, with both the municipality, the community, other communities that were around, other municipalities that were also around, the local government, local organizations, entrepreneurs, so far and so on. So it was a very enriching experience, and I will, later on I will explain a bit more what's going to happen next with the project. But it was
yes,
nice.
Because this resulted in a job opportunity for you as well. Yes, yes. This quite often happens. The order of the thesis and the internship in this program is not fixed. In your second year, you'll be doing both, and you can choose to do your thesis first or your internship first. What we see happening quite often is that an internship can lead to a first job. So that is why many students choose to do their internship last. But even if you don't, because you did your internship first, and it still led to a job opportunity. So this happens. Well, this brings me, oh no, Rolf. Yes, I'm going to ask you, are there any questions
There
in the
are
chat?
a few, yeah.
Good.
Beimi Sola Ola Di Pupo. Sorry for the pronunciation. He was a tad too late the last question round, but he also still wants to know something about scholarships.
Yes.
He wants to know how he can get, please, how can I source for scholarship to pursue this study? I think he wants a scholarship. I have been nominated for the OKP scholarship, but my organization is not willing to issue an employer letter to support my application. Can I please be nominated for another scholarship?
Yes. Okay, well, this is a very particular problem, I think, and I think it will be very wise if you send me an email. And at the end of the presentation, I will give all the contact details, because some of you might have really particular problems, and I can answer those by email. So please wait until the end and we'll give you the email address. And of course, you can find it on our, you can also always contact us via our website.
Yes. Okay. Yuka Nabai says, I am interested in sustainable farming system in developing countries. If I would like to focus on environmental issues, is it better to choose MUI or MDR?
Yes, that is a very good question. Well, that depends. You can do both. Like Ralph explained before, you can look at food security or you can look at sustainability from different angles. And well, if you choose a more technological study, for instance, environmental sciences, you will take the technological entrance. So you will look more at, okay, how can we stop climate change and the heating up of the climate, or how can we turn around water pollution, stuff like that. Within MDR, we'll be looking at the same problems, but we'll be looking at different things. We will be asking different questions. We will be saying, okay, we already know a lot about how to stop climate change. We already know a lot about stopping water pollution, but what does it take for people to actually sort of adopt all this knowledge and to put it into practice? This is what we do within the MDR program. So it really depends on what you like best. Do you like to look at the technical solutions? Or do you like to look at the way people deal with technology and adopt or do not adopt this? So that is, that is the question, and that is actually really up to you, because you can work on almost any theme in sustainability and in development within MDR, but you take, the social entrance. So you look at what people actually do. Did I explain that well? Do you have anything to add, Daniela?
No. It's actually, that's the answer. You could look into how the policy scheme changes, and then maybe if you look only in the policy scheme but not how people react to it, or not how it directly affects the communities, then maybe it's another type of study for you. But if you're interested in how the communities react to that and how they interact towards that, then maybe the MDR, it is indeed the program.
Yes. Any more questions?
Yeah, there are a bunch more.
Okay, well, go on.
When will I choose the thesis track?
Okay, yes, this is in the course of your first year, sort of, around December, January in your first year, you will choose the thesis track. So you do not need to do this beforehand. And there will be lots of information and help. When you start the program in September, we will have a meeting to get acquainted, me as a study advisor and you as a new student. And I will already explain a lot about the tracks. And in the course of the autumn, so of your first months within the program, we'll be organizing meetings about the study tracks, about thesis, about internship. So this is a process that is ongoing, and we will provide lots of information about this.
Okay. I hope it's clear, and we'll continue. Latifa Mubarak again asks for, first he says thank you for the informative session, so you're welcome. About the thesis project, what kind of support is offered to the students from the team, especially with Corona?
Okay, well maybe you can answer this, Daniela.
Yeah, I have recently finished my thesis. So you have, well, of course, Lieke is always on the loop. She's always with you as a guidance. You also have a local advisor, so you have one advisor from Wageningen University, depending on your track. And depending where you want to do your fieldwork. So I did my thesis studying a community in Spain. So I had a local advisor there, a local advisor here, and then Lieke. So it was like the triangle of advisors that can help you out to not only sort out all the, let's say, all the knowledge and the theoretical questions, but also the logistics of can I travel, can I not travel, yeah, what are my possibilities, what can I do, so far and so on. And then if you would like to do research, let's say in a European country, and then it's allowed to travel again, then you will also have like an Erasmus person that goes along with you during the process of actually traveling around. But I would say you're very much, yeah, a companion during the process, although you have to be independent, of course, but you do have guidance throughout the process.
Yes, good.
Mm-hmm. Okay, next question from Sarah is about career perspectives. I already heard that you already have a job lined up for you.
Yes, we'll be going into career perspectives just now.
Yeah,
so
that was what I'm going to
okay.
say. So Sarah, if you're watching still, we're going into that now. If you're still unclear about some things, you can ask it later, I guess, after the part. Then the next one. I would like to know if some of the theses are publicated. I'm interested in reading some of them.
Ah, yes, yes, they are actually. They are all published in the library of WUR. So I don't have the link available right now, but if you Google WUR and library, you will find it, and you can select a study program. So you can search for thesis reports and then select this study program, so Development and Rural Innovation, and you will get the most recent, well, you get a whole list of them, so you can read them. They are all, yeah, published.
Okay, a few more. I was a bit late, says Radhika, but will I be eligible for admission if I have an undergraduate degree in telecommunication engineering? Well, we're still coming to that part of admission, but maybe you want to answer it anyway.
Yes, well, that depends. This is not a standard bachelor that we find within MDR. Well, more preferably the bachelor education background that you have is connected to, well, maybe agriculture or sustainability or environment or food, but not necessarily. So we always look at the whole picture as well in admission. So we look at your motivation, we look at your transcript, we look at your CV and your working experience. So I would always say, give it a try. And yeah, you might be lucky.
Okay, 3 more for what I see now. Is it possible to combine 2 study tracks, says Shifra Barneveld? I am very interested in both the sociology of development and technology and development studies tracks.
Did one of you combine? Yes?
Yeah, I didn't combine, but I did the sociology of development. However, for my thesis, I was very interested on I did analysis discourse, so I was very interested on the communication side. And for the thesis, I had one advisor from the communication and technology, and from communication and innovation, and one from sociology of development. So although you could do it if you want to, and then sort of work as a minor, you could also just just get an advisor from either the other one that you're not fully subscribed, and then get both knowledge applied for both your internship or thesis if you're very interested.
Yes, yes. And at the we also find that there are quite a lot of students, for instance, this year who sort of keep 2 tracks open. So they, in period 5 of your first year, you choose one of the thesis preparatory courses, but some students actually do 2. So they can still sort of prepare for 2 study tracks. and then they can decide later on. And like Daniela said, you can have a supervisor and sometimes a co-supervisor, or you can do your thesis with one of the groups, so do one track, but you can still use the theory from the other group as well. So yes, the answer is you can combine this, yeah.
Okay. Sonja Ensling says, thank you for the webinar. You're welcome. I have a geography background and use a lot of remote sensing and GIS applications so far. Is GIS something that is still required or being used? Because I hope not to lose that skill.
Ah, I see. Okay. Yes. Well, in fact, we have quite a few students with the same background as you. So this is very relevant. What it is that within the MDR, the MDR program, there are no technological courses planned, no compulsory. I mean, all the compulsory courses in the program are social sciences courses. However, you do have room for electives as well, for free choice courses. And within Wageningen, of course, lots and lots of courses are offered. And you can also follow more technological courses within your free choice. So you are free to do something with GIS, in your free choice. So yes, this is possible as well. And in fact, we do have a lot of students as well who do this, or who even do some extra courses because they want to enhance their technological knowledge as well. This is also possible. Yes. Daniela, what did you do in your free choice?
For my free choice, I don't remember now. I actually don't really. No, I did conflict studies. I did but I also worked on conflict, let's say, settings before coming to the master. So it was more to get to have a bit of a background. And then there's a very interesting course on research on conflict settings that I did it, and a bit more on let's say the quantitative data, because I'm very qualitative. So I did a bit of statistics to get a bit of a background on that side that I was lacking.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, we also get people who use their free choice to know more about economics, for example, or more about environmental sciences. This is all possible.
Michael Lopez asked if there is any age restriction for the master's admission. I think you only need the requirements and then you're fine.
Yes, no age restriction whatsoever. No.
Earlier, Lieke was describing the difference between the MDR and the master's program of the WUR. Which one was this again? She missed it. The MUE, I think.
Yes, I'm actually not completely sure which program this is. Urban, I don't know.
I don't know either.
Urban and landscape?
Yeah, I'm not completely sure.
Oh, okay. Well, the abbreviation was MUE. So maybe you can look it up. Is it possible to do 2 master's programs? Gabriela Coppello asks. Of course, I think so.
Yes, this happens quite a lot. We do get a lot of students, for instance, who did maybe plant sciences at Wageningen University and want to do the plant master as well, but also want to look into the social aspects. So they do MDR as a second master. Yes, this happens. Yeah, and well, the general rule is that these both masters are 2 years, but if you can combine them, you may use 60 credits, so 1 year for each master. So in total, you'll be doing a master of 3 years, and you'll be having 2 degrees after 3 years.
I just got notified that the master MUE is the master Urban Environmental Management.
Ah, I see.
So
okay,
that
good.
was the comparison earlier.
Yes.
And then there is 1 or 2 more questions. What is the main difference between the international development studies?
Ah, okay, yes. That is a very relevant question. Thank you very much for that question. Well, international development studies, in fact, is the sister program of development and rural innovation. And it is very similar to the Program of Development and Rural Innovation, but there's a very important difference. That is that for the International Development Studies program, you need a bachelor in social sciences to be admitted. And this program, Development and Rural Innovation, is especially made for people who do not have a social sciences background, but have a technical or life sciences background. And this program starts with introductions into the social sciences within MID, so International Development Studies. We presume that you have a lot of knowledge on social sciences as well, so we go more in depth right from the start. So this is the difference, but the focus actually is quite similar.
Yeah, I have one more, but maybe due to time constraints, we want to move on.
Yes, maybe we have time for this question later on. Good.
Sorry, Hakan.
Yes, we will be talking about career possibilities now. What are the career prospects? Well, they're generally very good. After you see that most of our graduates turn out to work in either in the non-profit sector or agriculture or engineering sector. We do have people who pursue a PhD as well, 21% as you can see, and they want to become a researcher. 11% turns out to be a policymaker at a governmental department, or and some people work as a freelancer, for instance, as an can't find the word, sorry, or they start their own company. Yeah. Here are 3 examples of graduates and their jobs. Lieke on the left, she currently works as a senior policy officer at the Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs. She coordinates the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals in the Netherlands. Mohammed, he works in the cacao program in the Rainforest Alliance in Indonesia, and he helps to promote sustainable practices in the cacao chain. And Mariette is a research assistant at the Knowledge, Technology and Innovation Group here at Wageningen and University. This is one of the 4 groups which are involved in development and rural innovation. Danielle, can you now tell us a little bit about your future plans and your job opportunities?
Yes. So it turns out that with the results of the research that we did for my internship in Italy, we found out that it was a very interesting way of approaching to the phenomena. So the phenomenon, it's called shrinkage. And then we discovered that actually community engagement was one of the successful resources that we could apply for understanding or approaching this phenomena differently and to sort of a solution to get communities out of the situation. So with the project and the people that I work with, so my local supervisors in Italy, we applied for an Erasmus grant and we got a 1 million grant for work in Italy and in other 4 countries to work for 3 years. So in rurally populated areas. So yeah, I'm gonna be on the field in a month.
Good.
So it's super interesting. I think, if you're really motivated on a specific project, then and you make a clear path, the master and the university indeed has a huge network for you to work it out. To do a good job and to actually get a really nice future.
Will this be a PhD for you?
It will turn out into a PhD. So I will start as a research on the field, more like research assistant on the logistics that needs to be cleared out at the beginning. Also because it's like rural isolated areas in Italy where we will start. So I already know the area, so that's easier. To like sort of settle the ground for more students to come. But then 1 year after, it's going to turn into my PhD.
PhD, yes. Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I will now go into the admission requirements. To be able to be admitted into the MDR program, you need a bachelor in technological or life sciences or in relevant management studies. This is also possible. I told you already, preferably your bachelor is related to anything to do with food, agriculture, development, rural development, but this is not strictly needed. So if you have a bachelor in a different field, you can also definitely try to apply if you have the right motivation for this program. If you've done your bachelor outside of Wageningen University, you also need a grade point average of 70% of the maximum skill. So this is the average of all the grades you got in your bachelor. This is an English program, so obviously you need to be fluent in English. There are quite a lot of ways to show that you are. If you've done your bachelor in a Dutch university, or if you've done a Dutch HBO, a professional bachelor, which was taught completely in English, then we assume that your English is good enough. Otherwise, you need a 7 at VWO level or an 8 at HAVO level for Dutch students. For international students, you need a good result in one of the English tests that are allowed, and this is all stated on our website. You will also need to have done some mathematics and statistics in your bachelor. We will check this in your transcript. If you haven't done this, you can still be admitted to the program, but you need to do a statistics course at the start of the program or before the start of the program. And I can inform you about that if you feel that this applies to you. This is a special note for Dutch students, financial note. Please be aware that DUO does not acknowledge the fact that MDR is a 2-year program. MDR is registered as a 1-year program. This may have consequences for your right to a travel product and additional funding. Usually this is not a problem for students, but please inform yourself so you can be prepared. Yeah. Yes, well, let us talk a little bit about student life in general in Wageningen. Danielle and Rolf, can you tell me about your experience shortly?
Well, I had for me, Wageningen, it's a little paradise. It's a little bubble. It's full of nature. It's super beautiful. Well, now with the pandemic, it's a bit different than it was before. I will not lie and say that it's a super vibrant city. It's quite calm, but I find it very interesting and very nice to actually focus and like sort of breathe, because all the masters, regardless the focus, we all work on agriculture. So there is this red thread that everyone is working on the same sort of thing. So you can meet different people from different masters and yet be able to have very interesting talks about what you're doing and what everyone is interested. Yeah, I had a very international, enriching experience, I would say. It's yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, for me it's a bit similar. In Wageningen, everybody is busy with environmental stuff, so the surrounding city is very vibrant and green, and very nice nature. But student life really came a bit to a halt with Corona, obviously. But I've been here in my bachelor as well, so I already had my group of friends that I hung out with before Corona times, and I used to meet up twice a week, but now it's all online. MDR, like Lieke already said, is a very tight-knit group of people, and we also came together a lot for potluck dinners where everybody would bring food from their own country's kitchen, and we exchanged it and talked about a lot of stuff over the courses and our theses. But unfortunately also that is online now, so it's a bit sad, but it used to be very cool.
And it will be again, we hope.
It will be again,
Yeah.
Yes. But unfortunately for now we're stuck to online and there's really nothing more to it.
Yes, maybe it's good to add that up until December we had a blended education model. And we hope to have it, maybe from April onwards again. So at the moment we're in total lockdown in the Netherlands and everything is online, but most of the year was blended. So we had a part of the lessons still on campus and some online. And in fact within MDR, because it's only a small group, it was possible to have many courses still on campus in a live setting. So we hope that we can return to that very soon, and we definitely hope we can at least have a blended education model from September onwards. So yeah. Are there any more questions in the chat room?
Yes, there are. We have limited time, so if we do not get to your question, you're free to email Lieke, not me, Lieke. But the first one is from Hakan Kaplan. He says, I am Hakan and working in development agency and studying European politics in Turkey. I am curious about that I can continue my research and second year in my home country because I am confined with a year due to my work.
Yes, this happens. Yes, very good question. Yes, we do get people, actually we have a student from Indonesia right now who's still employed with the company, and she is doing both her thesis and her internship for or related to the company she's working for. So this is possible. So students come for 1 year to the Netherlands and do their courses and then return to their home country and do an internship and a thesis in their home country, sometimes for their own company. So yes, this happens.
Okay. Then we have two questions by Gabriela and Sarah, both dealing with the two master thing.
Yeah.
Gabriela wants to know, in the process of application, should I mention that I want to do masters, or do I choose that, or can I choose that afterwards?
Yes, you can. You do not need to decide yet. You can start with one of the two masters, and then at the beginning, in the introduction meetings, you can say that you're interested in maybe doing two, and we can look at the planning. So if you choose to do MDR as your first master, then I will sit down with you and look at the possibilities and the challenges of doing two masters, because I must say you are responsible for your own planning if you do two masters, and this is a bit of a puzzle sometimes. So we'll look into that, and then you can decide later on, okay, to register for another master.
I hope this also answers Sarah's question, because she asked to go a little bit more in depth about the second master thing. But I think there are a few more questions and we only have a few minutes left. We can better spend it on another.
Please, Sarah, send me your question in the email. I'll show you the details.
If you're not satisfied, Sarah.
No.
How many people usually get elected for this master? What is the group size? Sonja says.
Oh yes. Well, we get lots and lots of people who are actually admitted into the program. Unfortunately, not everybody has funding to come to Wageningen to do the program in the end. So in the end, the group is usually 20 to 25 students.
Okay. Hello, if the requirement of average unweighted mark of at least a 7 or the international equivalent of the bachelor's degree is not met, but still my average grade is close to the required one, is there any experience or other things that I can make in order to compensate and still be eligible for the program?
Very good question. Yes, very important question. Thank you very much for that. Yes, there is. If your GPA, your grade point average is very close to the 70%, then please do try, because we look at the whole picture. We look at your motivation, your CV, your working experience, recommendations, the whole thing. So you can still try if you have like a 6.8 or
Okay. Famke Quist asks, my bachelor doesn't really work with a GPA. Many courses are graded using insufficient to excellent scale. When asking my student office about it, they said they couldn't provide it. How does it work for the admission?
Oh, that is a very good question. I actually do not know the answer to that question. Can you please send this question to ssc@wur.nl? So that is our student service center, and they know everything about admission and GPAs and stuff. So I hope that they will be able to answer this question for you.
And I think that is it.
Okay.
So
thank you very much. So thank you very much all for attending. We really hope that you enjoyed this webinar and that it was informative for you. If you have any question that wasn't answered today, please contact us through the website. You find the email and the address of the website here, or send me an email. You find the email address here as well. Thank you very much, and hopefully we will meet you in Wageningen sometime.